Hello and welcome to this video, and I've neglected this channel for a long time. Anyway, that's not important. So what I want to do is I want to give myself a project that involves a board game. And basically this board game, I'm really into board games. So this board game is called Castle Ravenloft. It's a Dungeons and Dragons board game, and it's a scenario based game. And there are 3 scenarios that use trackers. 2 of them just use a sun token, and as the sun token progresses, if it reaches the end, bad things happen. And the other scenario, basically you're going to crawl through a dungeon looking for items, and you're going to be collecting these items. So what I want to do is I want to 3D print a tracker. Instead of using the book, I want to physically make a tracker that can use these tokens, so I could place the tokens. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up Illustrator. So we're going to create this in Illustrator. We're going to bring it into Maya, and then we're going to 3D print it and then paint it and do all that good stuff. So the first thing we're going to do is open up Illustrator, which I have here. And I don't want to make this like, I don't want to do it step-by-step type thing. I'm just going to explain and jump to all the important bits. So first thing I want is the logo. I want to put the logo of the board game on here. So I downloaded the logo, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the image. I downloaded the logo here. So here we have the logo. And what I'm going to do is go to Object. I'm going to go to Image Trace, and I'm going to say Make and Expand. And what this will do is turn it into vector. So now I'm going to right click, go to ungroup, and now I'm going to go ahead and delete everything I don't want, which is all this stuff here and here. I'll just get rid of all these tools. All right, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want this. And if I bring up, say, let's make a box here, and you'll notice, let me make the box a different color. Let me make it red so you can see. Let me switch this to RGB mode. So if I take this and bring it up, you'll notice, now if I send this to the back, the box, you'll notice that there's still white. So what we have to do is clean it up and get rid of these objects inside there. So now we have a nice clean representation of our logo. But what I am going to do is I'm going to clean up some of this. Like, for example, this, I'm going to go ahead and merge it down like that. And I also want to print this in one piece. So I'm going to go ahead and manipulate, make sure all these things are touching. So I could just print this all in one instead of having, because for example, if I print it like this, the V and the E are just going to float. I don't want that. So what I want to do is go to select my white arrow here, my white cursor, take this E, take all these vector points or these nodes here, extend them and make them touch the N. So now this, and this will print together. I'll probably move this L closer to this N. So that will, do that. This O will touch this. This F will touch that. So this way I could print it all in one shot. So once they're all touching, what we need to use is Pathfinder, and we're going to click this Unite thing. So right now, if I hit Control Y, I'm on PC. If you're on Mac, I think it's Command Y. I'm not sure. By the way, I am using an older version of Illustrator because I can't afford the new stuff, the new subscription model that they use. So this is Illustrator CS6. So anyway, so you can see these are all individual objects. So if I bring this more in here, let me lower the O a little bit so it's touching. So for example, I could take all this now and I could click the Unite button, and now it makes it all one piece. See that? Nice and clean. So these now are all together. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for the rest of the logo. All right, so I did it for the logo, as you can see here. So I'm just going to jump ahead. I'm not going to walk through, how I laid this out. So the important takeaway from here is, so I did that uniting thing and made this all work together. as one piece. And the idea is that this piece, oops, not that piece. Hold on, there we go. So this is, I'm going to call it the trim. Now you see how it's all one piece. So I'm going to print this, and then I can get rid of this. This is not needed. And this back part with the text will be printed all in one piece. What you need to know about this is if you're going to create Illustrator projects, let me go ahead and make a stroke. Right, so we got a stroke here. Let me give it a color. I don't know, black will be fine. Let me make it super thick so you can see it. So this is a stroke, right? And that's what these are made of. But what you have to do if you're going to use Illustrator or a vector program and put it into a 3D program, I'm going to be using Maya 2016. What you need to do is you need to convert these strokes into paths. So what you do is select your stroke, go to path, and then outline stroke. And now it'll make it, it's not a stroke anymore, right? So these sides here are now their own strokes like that. See, I could do stuff like that and so forth. So now if I have two of them, like for example, these circles and these things were all converted from stroke to paths. And again, if I go to Y, you'll notice that these are two separate objects, which I don't want. So I'm just going to go ahead and unite. All right. And there you go. So now it's one object. See? So the other thing, the last thing you need to know is for some reason, from when you're going from Illustrator CS6 to Maya, for some reason, if let me take this object here, create a new document. I'm going to paste it here. So what I do is I save out these things as. I just go to save as. Let me just, back test. I'll just save over that. Yeah, that's fine. What you need to do is save it as an Illustrator 8. I don't know why. It has to be 8. Okay. So let me cancel that. Close that. I don't need it. So yeah. So now what I'm going to do is take this trim. Oops. I'm going to take this object here. Let me just bring it down so you can see it. And I'm going to take this object here. All right. And I'm going to import it into Maya. And the text, I'm basically going to, I'm just going to lay it out in Maya. I'm not going to import the text from here because these are complicated shapes and sometimes Maya freaks out about that. So I'll just create the text directly in Maya. I'm going to put them in their own document and I'm going to save them as an Illustrator 8 file. All right, and then I'm going to do that for those two objects and then we're going to jump into Maya. All right, so here we are in Maya 2016. Yes, old software, I know, but it still works. So what I'm going to do is go ahead, I'm going to import those Illustrator 8 objects. So I'm going to just go ahead and hit create. I'm going to go down to Adobe Illustrator object. These are the settings that I use. Doesn't really matter. You'll see why in a second. I'm going to go ahead and click create. So now I'm going to go and find those objects. All right, so I've imported it, and here is our first object, the back object. So this is what I do. So anyway, I got a custom shelf here, so I'm going to center the pivot just so I can manipulate this a little bit better. And what I like to do is convert it to face, select the top face, and I like to go to Edit Mesh, duplicate that face, and I like to extract it, and then get rid of the original. And the reason I do this is just because if I ever have to create booleans, for example, I got to poke holes in it. It just works better if I extract the face myself instead of using the Maya object. I don't know why. It usually does. I mean, it does mess up from time to time. So anyway, the other reason why I do it is now I can control the thickness. So I can hit face, hit extrude, and now under thickness, I want to make this about 2 millimeters. So I'm going to pick 0.2. And now we have a 2 millimeter thick object. All right. So we're done with that. And next, I'm going to go ahead and move this back. Oops. Go ahead, center the pivot, move it back. And next, I'm going to import our trim. Boom, it's right there. So as you can see, I'm going to go ahead again, center the pivot, bring it up. I'm going to hit F to focus. And what I'm going to do, once again, because I want to control the thickness, is I'm going to select the face, and then I'm going to go to mesh, and then I'm going to go to, edit mesh, duplicate face. This is going to take a second because it's going to, I have an old computer, and it's going to take a second here. All right, so there it is. It duplicated. You can't see it, so what I'm going to do is select both objects. Then I'm going to deselect the original object, center the pivot, and extract that face, get rid of this, and now I can just select the face of this and extrude it. And I'm going to do this again, another 2 millimeters, 0.2. All right. By the way, if you want to control the units, just go to Windows, Settings and Preferences. Oops. Go to Preferences, and if you click on Settings, you'll see right here working units, centimeters, meters, inch, foot, yard, whatever you want. Okay, so I'm working in centimeters. So now all I'm going to do is go to the front camera, hit spacebar, front view. I'm going to go ahead and line this up to where I want it. All right, so that looks good, I think. Yeah, somewhere around there. That's cool. And now I'm going to hit F on my keyboard so I could zoom in and make sure it touches. So it's going to be around here. Okay. So I've already measured the token, so I know the token will fit in these circles. All right. So now I just got to populate this with text. So to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and say create text. Comes up here. So for example, I already experimented with this, and I did escape the tomb, which is one of the scenarios. So all I'm going to do is type that out. I'm going to pick my font. I went with this font, stick a heading. I don't know. Seems good to me. I'm going to hit apply, and there you go. All right. Now I could do the same thing here, where I could extract the face. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. All right, and then I'm going to go up to here, edit mesh, duplicate, and now you can see that it's duplicated. I'm going to go to object mode, get rid of that. Now I got some nice clean faces. First thing I'm going to do is combine. If you go to polygons, I'm going to combine this into one mesh, and then hit face. I'm going to select all the faces, and then extrude, and make it 0.2, which will be the same thickness as the trim. All right, so I'm going to hit object mode here. I'm going to go ahead and select it. I'm going to go center the pivot under my custom shelf, center pivot, and now go to the front camera, and I'm going to turn on I'm going to turn off the grid, and I'm going to turn on wire shade. So now I can see where it goes. So this escape the tomb is going to go up here. So now I could size it the way I want, which is going to be roughly like that. And now I could do the same for everything else. So instead of showing you that, let me go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back and start exporting. All right, so there you go. So I got all the text on. So now I have to send this to turn them into STL files. So I'm going to print this and this object separately. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to just select everything here. You don't have to combine it or anything. And next I'm going to go to File, Export Selection, and under File Type, I want STL_.dce. Now, if you don't have that option, what you need to do is go to Setting and Preferences, plug in Manager, and you want to make sure that Direct Connect, this thing right here, is loaded. DirectConnect.mll. All right, you want to make sure that's loaded, and that way you'll get your STL export. So basically, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and export it. I'm going to do the same thing for the trim, and then we're going to bring it in to Cura, our slicer. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so here I am in Cura. This is an old version of Cura. I haven't updated it yet. So anyway, I'm just going to click this folder. I'm going to go ahead and import. So here's our base and our trim. I'm going to go ahead and open both of them. And boom, there you go. Bob's your uncle. I'm going to go ahead and rotate this. I'm using CR10. What is this? The CR10S from Creality. It's an old printer, but it's a workhorse. It's awesome. Anyway, there are better printers today, so I would go with one of those. So there you go. So now I'm just going to lay this out, and I'm going to go ahead and print it. And I'm going to be using super quality, which is just default here, which you could select up here. Standard quality, dynamic quality. I'm just going to go with super quality. And let me see. Go ahead and slice it. See how it's going to print and how long it's going to take to print. I'm assuming this is going to take the longest. So this is going to take 11 hours. It would be shorter if I just did standard printing. However, the reason why I'm going with finer printing is just because there's, a lot of little details here, the text. So whatever, I'm just going to let it print for 11 hours on some gray PLA, and then I'm going to give it a paint job. So let's go ahead and start that. All right, so the rest of it is pretty straightforward. I printed it, and it did come with a little bit of stringing, a little bit of, it's called stringing or webbing, with a lighter and an X-Acto knife. I sort of cleaned it up. Then I gave it a coat of black primer using my airbrush, and I also gave the trim a gold prime with kind of like a gold color. And then basically I printed the trim twice, and I used the second one as a mask. And this way, when I paint the red, because I wanted kind of a red, gold, black kind of vibe to make it look kind of gothic, I used that I placed it on top, and I applied some red, dark red and light red paint. And that's it. Assembled it, gave it a quick coat of Mod Podge. This is a harder version of Mod Podge just to protect it a little bit. And there you go. That's it. Started from Illustrator, and there it is in my hands. And now I could use this tracker instead of the book when playing this board game. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.